myself up. I still haven't found my first Blanton's.
That's different. I really like that.
They're like together, like peas and carrots.
That's funny. Sometimes accidents are good things. Peychaud's or Peychaud's or Peychaud. This is not what I expected.
Hello, it is Bourbcast night. It's time. I don't know what that's all about. I'm feeling spunky, so this is chicken cock night, so I had to do Whiskey Makes Me Frisky, right? I know there's nothing to do with, that, but it seemed appropriate. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're watching. We're going to have some fun tonight. It's going to be a good time. I'm going to try something new if I can get it to work. We'll see. I have my new bottle cam. Da 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 da. It looks like hell, but that's okay. All right. So anyway, those of you who have followed the Bourbcast for a while know that I have an affinity for the brand called Chicken Cock. And it's not that it's goofy. You want to play with it. You want to play with the name of it a little bit, which is why I have the shirt on, Whiskey Makes Me Frisky, right? But the thing is, I have a lot of respect for this brand because I love the history of it. It's one of the oldest whiskey brands in the U.S., Chicken Cock Whiskey, known as the famous old brand, established in 1856 in Paris, Bourbon County, Kentucky. Now, at first, it was called Miller's Pure Old Bourbon Whiskey, but after James Miller's premature death at the age of 42 and the brand's subsequent sale to William Tarr in 1860, that got its name Chicken Cock, and then they filed their first lawsuit in 1889 against Miller's Gamecock. So you got that going on. Chicken Cock was a popular name for a rooster in the southern United States prior to Civil War. It was a symbol of defiance. Its origin goes back to the War of 1812 when American ships were under attack by British ships on Lake Champlain. Legend has it that a spent round broke open a chicken coop on board the USS Saratoga, and a rooster flew to the rail of the ship and began crowing incessantly, which inspired the American soldiers. Chicken Cock was also the name of a cigar brand in the 1850s and 1860s when the whiskey name emerged. All right, Chicken Cock did manage to receive a medical license during Prohibition, but when Prohibition hit Kentucky, they moved production to Canada and smuggled the product across the border in tin cans resembling soup cans. The waiters would present the cans at tableside and make a big deal out of opening it to reveal the bottle for the customers. So let's do that now. Let's open the bottle for you, the customer. Oh, yeah. This pour is going to be exquisite for me. I've been observing damp January. I didn't do so hot the first 2 weeks, but this week, Saturday night was the last time I had anything until tonight. I hope to keep that going a little bit. The less I drink, the less expensive my hobby is. so we'll just try to keep it up if we can. Chicken Cock Whiskey has a storied heritage that includes thriving through Prohibition as a favorite spirit of Harlem's infamous speakeasy, the Cotton Club. The Cotton Club, located in Harlem at 142nd Street and Lenox Avenue, featured Chicken Cock Pure Rye Whiskey. And I was going to show you some rye whiskey, but I'm out of it. I must have finished it. And I actually prefer the rye myself. In most cases, but we'll see how this one is. It was their whiskey, their house whiskey throughout Prohibition. The Cotton Club was one of the most famous speakeasies and hosted some of the jazz era's most prominent musicians, one of them being Duke Ellington, who wrote about Chicken Cock hey Lester, hey Charlene, who wrote about Chicken Cock in his memoirs called Music is My Mistress. He said during the Prohibition period, you could always buy good whiskey from somebody in the Cotton Club. They used to have what they called chicken cock. It was a bottle in a can, and the can was sealed, like a soup can, right? Can was sealed. It cost something like $10 to $14 a pint. Now that was decently expensive back in the Prohibition days, but it was Prohibition, and this stuff was being made in Canada and shipped across the border in soup cans. After financial challenges, including a devastating fire in the 50s that led to its over 60-year closure, the brand was revived in 2011 and reintroduced to the whiskey world in 2014. Today, Chicken Cock whiskey is distilled at Bardstown Bourbon Company, offering a range of premium expressions that honor blah, blah, blah. I can only read their rigmarole for so much, and then I'm just like, bleh. Tonight, it's another OHL exclusive, and I know that sounds impressive, but it's only kind of impressive. In Ohio, the state does the barrel picks and doesn't allow liquor agencies, the liquor stores, to do their own picks. Restaurants can do it, bars can do it, private groups can do it, but if you are a Ohio liquor state agency, you cannot do your own picks. OHL does that for us. But the good news is they do a pretty good job when they do their picks. They're not bad. Now, normally they do a number of picks, and that's exactly what they did this time. They had 6 different versions of this one, which is a single barrel proof from Chicken Cock. They had an A53, A57, and A67, which is this one. It's 119.6 proof, bottled straight from the barrel. Then they had A70, 74, and 78, all of them different proofs. They also released 4 reserve cask 6-year bourbons. Those came in at 130 proof, 128.8, 131, and 128.4 proof, and only 20 of those 6-year blends were available nationwide. And we got 4 of them in the state of Ohio as an exclusive. So, sorry about your luck, the rest of the country. All right, so this is Chicken Cock. This is the Private Cask. It's cask strength right out of the barrel. This particular one is, like I said, 119.6 proof. The normal price of Chicken Cock, which would be this one, is $57.99. This one comes in at $77.99, so $20 more for the single barrel, which I don't think is too bad, really. Mash bill is 70% corn, 21% rye. That's what I would consider a high rye by 3%. And malted barley. Anything over 18% is a high rye. To me, that's my measuring stick. And then the malted barley is 9%. So that's a decent amount there. All right, so it's time to get into it. All right, let's give it some nose. This is nice and dark. Look at the difference. I don't know if you can see much of a difference on camera, but this single barrel is a little darker, significantly darker. Oh, that's the rye. I didn't think I had any more rye, but I do. I must have run out of the bourbon. Because I found that one, and I found this one, the Double Oak, which is almost empty. And this is one of those, the Double Oak is just one of those that got better as it sat. The longer it sat, the better it got. Because at first I was, it was a little on the harsh side for me. But now I open this thing, take a sip, oh, it's good stuff. And this is one of the few that actually has like a shot glass cap, which I kind of like that. All right, so let's get into this. This is the Private Cask. This is barrel strength, single barrel. Oh. This might be my favorite nose of Chicken Cock. This is actually pretty nice. Boy, those cinnamons pop. That vanilla's really out there. Again, I've been getting this note quite a bit lately, and I'm getting it tonight right off the bat, that creme brulee note. Some really nice brown sugars in it. That cinnamon is really popping, though. And it's kind of the cinnamon is a multi-layered cinnamon. It's like a little bit like baking cinnamon and a little bit like a red hot candy cinnamon. Oh, boy, that's really nice oak to it. Yeah. I may just be really in the mood for a drink because I haven't had anything in a number of days, so. All right, so here we go. That was weird. That was strange. Okay, so obviously that's a fresh crack, that's a fresh dram. I pour it up, and I'm like, where is it? And then it's like, oh, there it is. And then after a second, it's like, well, wait a minute, where is it? Oh, there it is. That was weird. How it kind of came and went and came and went. And I don't know that I've ever experienced that before. Very strange. All right. So my first impressions of this is it's on the dark side. Trish is watching. I'm glad you found your way back, Trish. I'm getting like tobacco notes, really dark fruits, lots of oak on the palate. It was very sweet on the nose. It is not sweet on the palate at all. Let me back up and do mouthfeel, bloom, all those things that that I kind of got surprised out of doing when I'm like, where is it? There it is. Where is it? There it is. So bear with me while I get my bourbon legs back on. All right. All right, mouthfeel on this is nice. Bloom ebbs and flows, but at 119 proof, it actually sits in there pretty good. I like the way this feels. It's just a little on the hot side, and that's, I think, is going to be contributed to by the higher rye note. That 21% rye is going to contribute to that heat, that spice. People are talking. Kim's watching. Hey, it's been a while. How are you, Kim? Good to have you back. We're tasting chicken cock. This is the Private Cask. It's barrel proof and it's a single barrel. It's an OHLQ release and this is not available outside the state of Ohio at all. It's one of 6 different single barrel releases they did and one of 10 altogether of the reserve cask, which also came out as barrel proof but as a blend. And it's a 6-year, and I don't think this lasted that long. I think this might be a 4 or 5 year. All right. All right, let's get into some tasting notes. As soon as I'm done having a Bourbcast. Okay, so my first taste of this was that it was dark and earthy. Now that my palate is used to it, it's so much more than that. There's a really nice black cherry note. The caramel note is very pronounced. The oak is nice. Oh, by the way, caramel if you have a degree. I was telling somebody about that today. We were off painting, and we got talking about, degree and not degree, and the jokes that I make. And the cinnamon is still really nice. I think what I'm getting the most off of this is that caramel, and a little bit of that oak, and that black cherry. Let's go in. Let's go again. Only you. I know, Kim. I know. What are you going to do with me, Kim? What are you going to do? Don't answer that. Creme brulee on the nose. not on the palate. But there's a very nice honey note that pops in that I didn't get on the nose that I'm getting here. And the more I sip on this, the more I really like the mouthfeel. I'm getting more and more used to it. Fresh crack. So it's got a very viscous mouthfeel. Definitely not thin at all. It's very nice. This would go, let's see, sometimes we say buttery, sometimes we say silky. I don't know. It's got a thickness to it that I really, it's not like oil or anything like that, but it's got a thickness to the viscosity that I really like. And again, back with the oil terms, the viscosity. But this is just, there's a fruit note that just came out on the finish too. It's a lighter fruit, maybe a, that's gone. I was going to say maybe raspberry. Or a blackberry, probably. Blackberry. Chicken cock. I know. Well, you weren't here for the great big long thing that I talked about chicken cock, so you'll have to go back and watch it because this has got a really great history. And I'll just nutshell it real quick. They got their medicinal permit, but then Kentucky went into Prohibition, so they moved to Canada for production. And when in Canada, they had to get the stuff back to the States, so they shipped it back to the States. They smuggled it in tin cans that looked like soup cans. And one of the biggest customers was the Cotton Club in Harlem, and they would take these cans to the table, and they would ceremoniously open the cans in front of the customers, pull out the can, and then they'd pull out the bottle. And even Duke Ellington wrote about chicken cock whiskey from rye. It was a rye whiskey. Wrote about it in his memoirs. So it was a very popular whiskey, and I have a lot of respect for the history of this one for some reason. There's something about how they smuggled it in soup cans that is just, I don't know, as a whiskey enthusiast, that's romantic. And I don't mean romantic in a kind of way. It's just, it's just, yeah, I did that. There's just something about this brand. It screams of Survivor, right? Even though it didn't survive and it was off the market for 60 years after Prohibition, it's back now and it's better than ever or as good as ever. And I just wonder if Duke Ellington were to come back and try this, what would he think of it? Like, would he take a sip of this and go, oh yeah, I remember this stuff? Because when these brands are revived, oftentimes they try to replicate the original recipe as best as possible. Oh yeah. And if that's the case, if this is the case, that this is, among those original recipes, now this one won't be, because they wouldn't have done a single barrel back then. Now I say that, and I may be wrong about that, because they didn't used to bottle bourbons. They used to carry them around in the cask and pour them out to people like in these big leather sheaths and different things. The first brand to bottle their whiskey was Old Forester. And chicken cock, being one of the oldest brands, wasn't far behind, as far as I was able to gather in my research. I don't know, there's just something about this brand that I really, really respect. Hey, Bill's watching. Hey, Bill. This is the Private Cask. It is barrel proof and is a single barrel from chicken cock, and it was put out by OHLQ. So it is an Ohio exclusive, and you will not find it outside the state. $77.99 is the price tag on all of them that they put out. There were 6 that were like this, the Private Cask, different casks, and then 4 that were the blended 6-year. So, but also barrel strength. I do like me some barrel strength. I do. And this is up there. All right, so I'm going to do this, and then I'll probably add a little water to it. Yeah, I think I like this. I think I like it a lot. Just a little bit of drying on the inside of my cheeks right here, which is not offensive to me at all. Sometimes that drying gets to me. It's like, wow, sucked all the moisture out of my mouth, but this did not do that. Really, actually quite nice. We'll see if I like it as much on water. I tend to be a little bit more of a snob when it comes to watering down a neat pour. We're going to do 2 on there and see what it does. We tried that Field of Dreams last week, and we've had a few people report that they got Field of Dreams based on our Bourbcast, and that's great. I think it's awesome that you did that. Mash bill's completely different from this one. It's, 95 proof or something like that, and it's 85% corn, very low rye, very low, no malted barley at all, if I remember right, and wheat in the mash bill. So, interesting pour, very new, very young. Could sit in the barrel a little longer, but for what it is they're trying to do, it turned out pretty good. So I was really quite happy to hear that people were buying it based on the Bourbcast. So I will tell you that if you're buying based on the Bourbcast, this is better than Field of Dreams. It's different than Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams has got a little bit of a smoky overtone. That corn just gave it, I don't know, it's kind of a sense of smoke to me. This has more oak than smoke. A little bit more of a traditional thing, but it was dark coming out of the bottle the first time, and the more I drink it, the more I like it. The more it settles down, the more it sweetens up, the more it provides some notes. And, the bourbon versus the rye from Chicken Cock, I really like the rye better. This may have the rye beat. This is actually quite good, but we'll see what it's like on some water. This is just 2 drops of water. Okay. I'm not going to recommend water for this pour. It took a lot. I mean, it's 2 drops, right? What's 2 drops going to do? Well, a lot. It didn't open it up. The flavors that I got were virtually identical. But what it did do, strangely enough, 2 drops pulled the heat out of the pour. It's like it went from 119 to 95. And it didn't. It didn't. It's impossible for 2 drops to take the proof down that far. But it took out the bite a lot. Yeah. Compared to what it was, that bite's gone. And a lot of times when you add water, it brings that bite back, right? It revives the bloom. If you've been used to it and you've had a few pours of it, add a little water, all of a sudden it gets hot again. This did the opposite. I'm not hating it because of it. But I will tell you that if you want the full expression of this particular pour, do it neat. That being said, it is time. Now this is a fun little story. So in Northwest Ohio, where this show is being filmed, it's been very, very cold. 2 degrees, 3 degrees, negative temperatures overnight. So when I made this mold just a couple of days ago, I decided, you know what, why use electricity as if I don't already have freezers plugged in all over the house. Let's put it outside when it's 3 degrees or less. So I'm kind of curious as to whether or not, hey Chris is watching, hey Chris, I'm kind of curious as to whether or not, ooh, I don't know if it froze all the way, there's like moisture. We're about to find out. It should have. It's been outside for 2 days. Yeah, it did all right. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty gorgeous. A gorgeous ice. Yeah, little bit cloudy on the top. I just wonder if, ooh, it's a little bit wet yet. So I'm just wondering if maybe it was too cold outside. Maybe it needed to freeze a little slower in a regular freezer with directional freezing. And if it's 3 degrees outside, I don't know that it's going to be that effective. You know what I'm saying? If you're not aware of directional freezing and how these ice spheres come out so clear, there's a little research you can do. Go Bill Nye the Science Guy and do a little research on your spheres. He doesn't talk like that. I was too old for Bill Nye the Science Guy, so I was never really into it. All right, so we're just gonna... I only added 2 drops. And that's not all I'm gonna add. I'm gonna add more. To this gorgeous ice sphere. All right, finger stir. Had I still had paint on my fingers, I wouldn't have done that, but I washed it off. I was so proud of myself. I went through like the whole day without any paint on my clothes. Then like the last little bit, I poured some paint in the thingy, and the straps from my sweatshirt got in the paint, and then I put it all over the front of my shirt. It's like, son of a gun. Not this shirt, thankfully. Different shirt. So now I have a new painting shirt. I don't know, we'll try. I put Oxy on it. We'll see if I can get the paint out. Did it once before. But this is red, so it could stain it. I don't know. All right. Putting this on ice, we'll see what it does. Okay. Oh, I was ready to go. I was ready to say, killed it! It didn't. It didn't kill it. Chris is talking. Nice to see you finally getting on board with ice. Oh, stop it. We do ice almost every week. I just tend to not like it very much. This one, like I was prepared to say, killed it. But then, I gave it a second, right? And I did. Now I'm going to go back for number 2. I'm going to go back for another one. Flavor holds up. All the other essence of it, the heat, that complexity, nah. They go toodaloo. But the flavor's still there. So if you're looking for something that you can put on a cocktail, it works. It'd be a chicken cocktail. See what I did? Put 2 things together, like a conjunction. I learned conjunctions on Sesame Street. And conjunction, junction, what's your function? I know, this is not a conjunction. I get it. Saying chicken cocktail, it's not a conjunction. Although, in the truest sense of it might be. Or maybe not. I do find myself thinking linguistically. Okay, I'm done. So, you have to admit it opens more than with none. I don't have to admit that, Chris. And it's not exclusive to the pour. So, this one, there's some flavor left in it, but a lot of what was essence of this, especially neat, is gone. The heat is gone. The bite is gone. The flavor is still there. The sweet side of it maintained, but the other side, the earthy side, is gone. So open it up. Traditionally, I find that ice mutes the flavors. Now, everybody's palate's different. I'm not going to force my beliefs on anybody else. I'm just going to kind of call it as I see it. And that's that water generally will open it up more, and that ice can do different things. Sometimes, like Blade and Bow, ice kills it. The Field of Dreams last week, ice killed it. Archie Bunker used to, that's That's kind of the way I feel about ice on lots of bourbons, but not all. There are some, particularly in the last year, that I tried ice with them and they got better. Now, those instances are few and far between, but that's up to the person and their palate to decide what they like better. Some people, my son, does not like warm alcoholic drinks. I do. I find myself enjoying the clears, particularly with ice. There's only a handful of whiskeys, though, that I could agree that it opens it up. For me, it closes it down. This one closed it down. It didn't kill the sweet side of the flavor, but there's a lot of it that's gone that was there before I put the ice sphere on it. So I'm glad you like it with ice. Drink it how you like it. And I'm not here to impose my will on anybody. I'm just giving you my assessment of it and what I think of it. And ice, to me, is not the way I prefer to drink my bourbon. And this one in particular, this is a very special pour. Really, really nice pour. And I can't see ice being the best home for this one. So, just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, so, doggone, I was gonna bring out what I'm gonna do next week, and I didn't do it. Darn. There was one I knew I was gonna do. Okay, there's one back here I haven't opened. I'll pull it out. Hold on. So, this one I have not opened. I've never tried it. I don't know what it's like. I don't know if I'll like it. I probably will. This is the Russell's Reserve Private Barrel Selection. This comes in at 110 proof, 55% ABV. It's another OHLQ selection. This is from 2023. Selection barrel 20. Oh, no, I'm sorry. My eyesight's not good enough. Barrel number 4. Let's see. This was distilled in 2013 and dumped in 2023. So it's nearly 10 years old, but they give it a 9-year thing, a 9-year age statement. So this is the Russell's Reserve Private Barrel Selection. This is the one we're going to do next week on Beautiful Bourbon. If you are a Russell's fan, a Wild Turkey fan, a Rare Breed fan, they're all the same mash bill. Everything from Wild Turkey is the exact same recipe. The only thing that differs is how long it's aged, whether it's blended, whether it's in a secondary barrel, what the proof of it is. I mean, there's some things that are different about it. But those differences are, well, I was going to say those differences are minor, but they can be major when it comes to the flavor of the whiskey. I'll do the research on this one. You'll know more about this one next week, the Reserve Private Barrel Selection. So that was not the one I was going to do. I had another one in mind, and then I just didn't get to it. So shame on me. I should have gotten it out, but that's the way it works. So you could be doing anything else. You're here with me, and I appreciate it. Whether you like ice or whether you don't like ice in your drink, or whether you like, rye or bourbon, or, if you only like the allocated stuff or you only like Buffalo Trace stuff, you're here, and I appreciate it. If you are on YouTube, I guess I'm supposed to say like and subscribe. Pound that button. I don't know what button you're pounding, but it seems unnecessary to pound on it when you can just click. Smash it! No, just click on it. Just click on it. And tell people about it. And Trish, thank you for telling Charlene about it. I appreciate it. I hope you guys keep coming back. It's a lot of gals. It's a lot of fun. Kim, it's been a while. You've been gone too long. Need to get you coming back more often and giving me the harassment that you know you love. So, we will see you next week, Thursday, 7 o'clock right here on Beautiful Bourbon. And thank you again, and take care.